see, there's probably 5 years of below average rainfall, and the average rainfall was 13 inches for the whole year in that section of Nebraska. But probably only got 2 or 3 inches in any one year. So the crops went to hell. They didn't grow. So they had to get out. So I remember I get some of these scenes screwed up in my head. One of them was that they used to make money, they would do a rabbit drive. So they built a fence with chicken wire, 10 foot high in a circle, and opened up like a funnel. And then they would order a bunch of shotgun shells, cases of them, and advertise in the paper. And people would make a picnic out of it, and then they would have a rabbit drive. So they would drive them out of the fields down to this funnel shape to the pen. And the kids, like me, were given a club. So if any rabbits got through the line of men, you'd club the rabbit. And the only thing they saved were ears. They paid 2 cents, a penny for each ear of rabbits on this rabbit drive. And my God, there were thousands of rabbits. I mean, they probably made $300 or $400 out of that, because the rabbits were considered a pest because they would burrow in and eat the roots of the plants. Not the Yampa River, the Elk River, north of Steamboat Springs. And it was 13 miles to Steamboat. And
so what was the terrain like on the land that your father purchased? What was the land layout?
There were 400 acres of tillable soil out of that. And the rest was, there was a couple of acres of bottom land where we grew potatoes. But then that was west of the house. Elk River was west about a mile. And then go 1 mile east from the house was the end of the property. So it was about 2.5 miles. The thing my dad did was replace the well. It had an old bucket. It had a well. It had a, I don't know if you ever seen one, a rope bucket.
Yep. On
space for getting water out of a well, and you just turn the crank, and when it goes up over the pulley on the side, it would dump water into the bucket. Some of the little boys were kind of ingenious, the things they invented. Up on the mountain, there was a spring that ran water year-round. So my dad piped it all the way down to the house and the barns. So they let the water run all the time to the barnyard. With a big tank, maybe 10 feet in diameter and 4.5 feet high or so. So we always had water for the animals.
When was the first winter that you decided to start skiing? How did that come about? Who taught you how to ski?
No one
Hold
taught
on.
me. In the meadow, the snow would accumulate to about 4.5, 5 feet. And we had to feed all those animals. So that's tillable land was a meadow, timothy and clover. You stacked that every fall, cut it, stacked it in big stacks, big as this house.
So you'd stack the clove up about what, 50 feet then? Big stacks.
Yeah, they had a variety of stackers, but the unique one was one that they had come up with, which was just a plunger and a rack, a chute made out of logs. So it was set at about a 45-degree angle. So this pusher put a team of horses on it, and they pushed it up to the top, and it dumped off the side. And then 2 guys would mow it over, stack it. So when you got to the top of that mow, the top of that chute, whatever you want to call it, the slide, that was how high the stack was. So then you moved to another spot. And then my dad didn't like that, so he bought a stacker from Sears or Roebuck. It's overshot. Had a kind of an oversized fork made out of pine poles, and then you load it. You could change the height of it. Okay, so when you started out, you had it just short one. When you got high, it would go up to here, and then we had a team of horses. Some things are just funny as hell. They just happen. The team was pulling this cable that pulled the overshot up, and so we had buck rakes, which were propelled by 2 horses, and you had a hay rick, they call it, but it's rake it up and make windrows out of it, and then you'd pick it up with this team of horses in this front end loader and put it on the overshot stacker. But one time my sister she was taking care of the team on the cable, and she just dropped the reins and let them stand, because they would stand, and some guy brought in a load of hay to go on the overshot, and he yelled, "Get up!" And they took off, the team on the cable, and they went right to the end, and they're supposed to stop, but they didn't. They walked right through that cable, and the stackers come down. They're timbers made out of maybe 8 by 10 pine, but regular dressed wood, and they just smashed the hell out of it. But everybody's yelling, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" And that team took off.